Yo, what's happening everybody, King GBL here, and welcome back to some Go Battle League. Today I'm going to be showcasing my favourite team of Giratina in the Great League. Also at the end of the video, I'm going to be showcasing some bonus battles featuring Heatran, Giratina and Cresselia, which were pretty fun. We had some really fun wins with that team as well. But this team right here actually was quite a lot of fun and quite strong in the Great League. We have Skarmory in the lead, which basically can deal with all of the fairy types, which of course Sableye and Giratina are both weak to. And of course things like Lantern is very neutral for Sableye, very good for Giratina, and both Sableye and Gira can deal with the fire types. For example, Skeledirge and Talonflame are both very good matchups for Sableye and Giratina, so this team worked super well. I have to say a big shout out to Patrick for this team. I was watching him in Jamie Finn's Discord streaming this team this morning, and it looked like a ton of fun, so I had to try it out here. Anyway guys, welcome on back to the channel. If you do enjoy today's video, please go ahead and drop a like. And today we're going to be talking about some of the move updates, so let me know your thoughts and opinions on the move updates in the comment section down below. I probably should start making specific videos talking about move updates, but I think this channel's more geared around gameplay more than news videos and updates, and you know, by the time I woke up there was about 5 videos out already, just you know, explaining the updates, so it was kind of a little bit redundant at that point. But in my personal opinion, some of the updates are quite interesting. I think Feraligatr is of course the most obvious one. I think Goodra could be decently improved, and you'll see a little bit more of that in the Great League, and Empoleon. I think apart from those three, the meta is going to be looking very similar. I'm quite surprised we didn't get a Scald nerf. I thought that was going to be pretty much guaranteed update. I was expecting the Scald debuff to go down to 30% instead of 50%. So my personal opinion on the update is, it's a good update. There's some cool Pokemon. Sand Attack's quite cool for things like Sandslash, Flygon, Palossand and things like that. There definitely are a few cool updates there, but I don't think there's anything that's really gonna substantially change the meta. I do think that everybody will be using, you know, Empoleon, Feraligatr and a few different Pokemon, but I think the meta will basically boil back down to Skarmory and Whiscash. I don't think the meta is actually going to change, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. We do have another couple of interesting updates, you know, to the meta. Things like Cross Chop getting buffed, which makes Machamp a little bit better, Obstagoon for example as well. And I do think Obstagoon, I was using it funny enough yesterday with a similar team. I was using Obstagoon Double Ghost, using Haunter and Giratina just for fun. I wish I recorded those matches because I wanted to make kind of like a mix-up with a bunch of different Giratina teams, but unfortunately in the stream that I was doing a bunch of Giratina teams live on YouTube, I for some reason didn't record the footage or something like that, so we're going to have to go with 2 teams today. But Obstagoon was surprisingly decent, and of course we have buffs to Aqua Tail, which will be quite a decent update for a lot of Pokemon as well. Things like Drapion will benefit from it, Dragalge, Dragonair. Not that Dragonair needs a buff, right? It's already got Body Slam, but now it's got Aqua Tail, which is going to hit just a little bit harder and may just make the difference in 1 HP situations where you need that extra little bit of damage. Definitely could make the difference. I know there's one case, for example, Non-Shadow Dragonair versus Annihilape. The second Aqua Tail does not quite KO. In that situation, the Non-Shadow will KO with the second Aqua Tail. So there definitely will be some cases where that's a little bit better. And you know, I think generally moves like that, like Cross Chop, Aqua Tail, a few small buffs here and there is not too bad. I think the majority of the new moves they added are pretty trash. Psywave could have been a lot better. I do believe it's a cut clone, which is not very good. Sand Attack, quite interesting. I thought it could have been quite nice on Pidgeot, but I do think it's quite nice for Staraptor in a way. Staraptor will be the flyer that can deal with basically steel types. You're going to have the fast move pressure with Sand Attack. You're going to have the close combat and of course the fly for the Pokemon that Staraptor is basically supposed to beat. So yeah, Staraptor could be a very fun and interesting one. I'm very surprised it was not given to Pidgeot though. Sand Attack feels like the signature move for Pidgeot, you know, if you played the main series games, Pokemon Blue or Pokemon... Actually, let me know if you guys played Pokemon Blue, Red, Yellow back in the day. But on Nugget Bridge, you always run into the rival, and they always had a Pidgey with Sand Attack, and they basically debuff your accuracy, and it makes that match super hard, unless you've leveled up your Pokemon correctly. But yeah, definitely some interesting updates this season. I think probably the last 2 seasons updates were a lot more interesting. I think there was a lot more substantial change definitely last season. You know, however, change is not always the greatest thing. I definitely think the biggest surprise for me personally is that Scald just completely went untouched. You know, I do however think in recent times, again, you know, I'm asking you guys to leave a bunch of comments here, but do let me know if you feel like Scald has been nerfed. I wonder even if it was the case that it was already overtuned, but above 50%, because it really felt like above 50%. Now I'm seeing a lot of cases where it's just not happening at all. Anyway guys, with all that being said, we're going to hop into the gameplay here. I was streaming these battles in Discord this morning. You can feel free to join us in there if you're looking to make a push for Legend next season. We've got a lot of streamers in there, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Feel free to join up if you want some coaching or to check out streams or just join a part of a community here. We take out the Medicham. I don't know why I was seeing Medichams today. And back in comes the Licky Tufeki. Very happy with this alignment. I decided to go for double foul play here. just for the most damage efficiency. 2 foul plays gets us quite low, and it puts it in a position where Skarmory can not quite farm it down, but just sky attack. And we'll pretty much see what's in the back. I already decided at this point that it's going to be Annihilate. So yeah, these are some pretty hard counter games in my favour here to start off with, but you will see later on we do start getting hard countered, and whenever we start using the team of Heatran and Cresselia, those matches were not easy at all, so there's definitely some bumpy matches coming up later on in the video. The opponent decides to no-shield. I decide to fish for the Ancient Power Boost, and I actually do get it in this situation, which means that I can actually Shadow Claw this into Shadow Ball range, so we're actually taking out a Licky with Shadow Ball, so you gotta love that BM right there. Giratina is a super fun Pokemon. The only way you can get this Pokemon, if you guys aren't aware, is to trade it with somebody who got it in research. If you want the highest possible chance of getting it, trade it with, you know, a great friend. The higher the friendship level, the less likely it is to get it. I believe it took me 2 or 3 attempts to get one, so yeah, it's, you know, it's not guaranteed. It is fairly easy to get compared to some things, but yeah, it's not guaranteed, and I do sort of hope there is more opportunity to get this Pokemon in the future. I think it's just been very, very limited, so some people are going to have it, some people won't. It's very, very difficult for certain people to get it, especially living in rural areas and so on. So it's a little bit unfortunate how these things work out, but if you guys are looking for a fun Giratina team, I do recommend this one. As I mentioned at the start of the video, Skarmory in the lead just really deals well with a lot of the meta that these 2 Pokemon in the back struggle with. Completely wrecks Wigglytuff. You know, Whiscash is a bit awkward, but Skarmory and Whiscash, it's a pretty neutralish matchup. Favourable for Whiscash, but not super favourable. So usually what I would do in that sort of matchup is basically just swap out, try to get an energy advantage with Skarmory, and then at that point you can deal with it. The opponent comes into a Lantern, we bank the Sky Attack, and we come into our Giratina. Now, I'm expecting the opponent to go for a catch here at some point. The unfortunate thing is, though, I decide this will do more than a Power Whip, so I shield up that move. The unfortunate thing is, I'm going to have to throw Shadow Ball in this Licky anyway. The opponent shielding up a double resisted Shadow Ball. You know you're in shambles whenever you're doing that. We do get off an Ancient Power, and I think we're going to see here, or sorry, not an Ancient Power. Ominous Wind is an Ancient Power clone. But yeah, we're going to see here, the Power Whip doesn't do as much. I think I definitely shielded the correct move. All we need to do here is get to the Shadow Ball. I think that was the CMP tie, if I'm not mistaken. Boom, Shadow Ball coming in. Oh, actually it's not. We just go for the Wombo combo. We're going to go for the Sky Attack, and that's going to be curtains for the opponent. As you can see on screen here, guys, if you want your gameplay featured on the channel, feel free to send it in the description down below. If you guys are using any of the newly buffed Pokemon, I think the Pokemon I'm going to be showcasing myself tomorrow are going to be like Goodra, Feraligatr, and maybe Empoleon, or maybe some of the slightly more meta picks. If you guys want to send me in some of the slightly less meta picks, like Kanto Sandslash, like Cross Chop Pokemon, different Pokemon with Aqua Tail buffs. If you guys have access to Gallade, feel free to send in that. I don't have access to that Pokemon. I have a really high rank one, but it's got Frustration. I didn't TM it off in the Rocket event. The opponent comes into a Tentacruel. At this point, I'm deciding it's going to be Double Poison. Dark Double Poison makes a lot of sense. Skull coming in, they do get the debuff here, and we can still look to get off 2 foul plays. So I'm pretty happy here, even though they've debuffed me, I'm just getting the damage off. I feel like it's going to be Toxapex in the back, that's pretty much my prediction. We're getting off 2 foul plays, and we're just hoping Giratina can sweep here. Yeah, the opponent lets that through, so that's perfect, and we'll see what the opponent comes into in the back. Skull coming in, that'll take us out. We're going to come into Gira. The opponent comes into a Girafarig. A bloody Giraffe. I hate this Pokemon. This fucking Giraffe is on my screen again. Shout out to you guys if you've been watching for a while. I swap out to clear the debuff. I want to shield both moves. I don't want to let a Psychic Fangs go, because they will be able to confusion me down. The normal types double resist Ghost, however this is a normal Psychic, so it is single resisted, and because this is a Shadow Girafarig, it is super glassy. I throw this out and move off immediately. I think Girafarig would win CMP, so I might as well have just done one extra Shadow Claw, but good games there. We do manage to take it out, and the Giraffe does not get the better of me today. The Demon Giraffe, can't stand it. I honestly hate that Pokemon. Dugong lead. So we sort of have like 2-ish answers to this. Skarmory's fine into this Pokemon. It is a win for Dugong, but it's not like super dominant or anything. So we're going to go for Sky Attacks here. We have to stay in. We're going to go for 4 and 4 for good timing. And, you know, even if we have to let this go down, we can basically come into the Sableye afterwards. Because we're non-Shadow, we can live 2 Icy Winds, so that's perfectly fine here. And we'll basically YOLO off the Brave Bird. We only get off 1 more move. We YOLO off the Brave Bird, and I think we just come into Sableye at this point. Yeah, the opponent lets it through. They swap out into Gligar, and because they swapped out, we will outpace them here slightly. Now, the opponent can let this through. Yep, it does roughly like 30-40%. With the Shadow Claws, we're going to get them into pretty much double foul play range. I expected the opponent to go for double Aerialius. He went for Dig, but that means I'll be able to get off another foul play. So I think the most efficient thing for the opponent was to go for double Ace. They should probably... Oh, they come into Trevenant, and they do get a nasty farm down. This is not the most straightforward thing in the world. We come into Big G here, I'm going to go for a catch on the Skarmory. I don't get the catch, but the opponent does an extra Shadow Claw and still throws the move. I'm not sure if they didn't notice or if they thought I was at a move, but we should be basically fine. I do 4 and throw for good timing here, just before the opponent gets to the move. I can't afford to shield because I'll just shield farm down and basically look to Shadow Ball the Trevenant. So good games there. I got a very lucky catch, or I was very lucky that the opponent threw the energy. And once again, we have another Medicham. I don't know who made a Medicham video, but they're just all over the joint. They're just all over the joint. I seen the Gliscor safe swap, and I automatically thought it's going to be Gligar in the back. So I just think if I get alignment here or get a shield advantage, basically Giratina sweeps this entire match. Yeah, so the opponent shields up that move. I'll be more than happy to shield up once. I should have went for 5 and throw here. I went for 4. I wasn't sure if there were 4 or 5 off the move. I should have went for 5, try to go for CMP tie, because that means all of the opponent's energy will be gone. But we do actually get to another foul play. This is working out perfectly either way. Boom, foul play coming in, that takes alignment. I think as soon as the opponent sees the Giratina, they should pretty much top left here. The opponent will stay in, go for an Ice Punch, and I'm pretty happy to let this go. It's pretty much just going to be Gligar in the back, or so I thought. The opponent comes into a Bastiodon. I'm like, oh no, I've made a big mistake. I let the Ice Punch go. We're going to go for Shadow Ball here. Now what I recognize at this point is I can get off 2 moves, an Ominous Wind and a Shadow Ball. So I decided to go for Ominous Wind first to try and fish for the boost. We don't get the boost, but we do get off a Shadow Ball. Now this is kind of putting this in a position where I should hopefully be able to farm this the whole way down with Skarmory. Steel Wing kind of chips away at this Pokemon here, because of course it has the rock subtyping. Boomper coming in, yeah, we're still chipping this the whole way down, and yeah, Medicham can't really do anything, and we're just going to outpace to the Brave Bird, and that's going to be good games. Okay, so here is the Whiscash lead. We're coming into the Sableye. I think I like shielding up the Scald, because I want to try to take swap if possible here. Putting in my Giratina on this would be better. I attempt to go for a CMP tie here. We go for the foul play. That's going to, of course, get the shield. That would get them quite low. The opponent does, of course, want to get the debuff before eating any damage. Now the opponent can basically let this go. They come into Skarmory, and I'm hoping and praying I can get off 2. I don't think I can. I think that a Steel Wing will just about KO me. Oh, yeah, unfortunately. Don't get off 2. I come into my own Skarmory here, basically to absorb any damage, and we're basically hoping and praying that Giratina can sweep the match. I pretty much want the opponent to go for Brave Bird, because I want to come out here with a lot of energy if possible. Now what I was considering doing at this point was coming into Gira for the farm time, but I decided we're just going to build up to back-to-back Sky attacks, leave ourselves with energy for the Whiscash, grab the shield, and then look to go for the move. And it is actually a Dragonair in the back, so this is super tricky. Dragon Breath users for Giratina, look how much it's ripping me down. It's just tearing me to shreds. This is very tricky still. Aqua Tail coming in, the opponent comes into Whiscash. I go for a Slide Over Farm, go for a perfect CMP tie on the Shadow Ball, getting that extra energy. The Shadow Ball is going to one-shot the Whiscash. We're going to look to go for Ominous Wind. We just about get there on 1 HP, as you can see. My Giratina is hanging on by a sliver of HP. That doesn't quite take out the Dragonair, but 2 Steel Wings will take it out, and the opponent died with the move. Good games to the opponent. It was the overfarm that really allowed us to win that, and Trevenant lead next game. Trevenant wins the 1s against Skarmory, and they come into a Vigoroth. When I seen the Vigoroth safe swap, I thought it might be double normal, which I mean, if you look what I've got in the back, double ghost, it's not looking great for double normal. I chuck in the Sableye here, just because I think that Sableye can deal with this pretty easily. I respect the Rock Slide, and I don't think the opponent's going to go down 2 shields, so I'm going to look to go for a big return. That'll pretty much one-shot the Vigoroth here. I go for a nice overfarm just before they reach the move, and yeah, if the opponent lets us go, this should just about take them out, but the opponent actually does shield it, so this is kind of a little bit awkward now. I think I decide here, okay, we just need to hope it's not double normal. The opponent built up to back-to-back body slams, so I couldn't afford to shield that move, unfortunately. And we're going to respect this Rock Slide on the Skarmory. Now, what I probably should try to do is go for the Wing Attack down, the Steel Wing down. I decided here to throw just before they reach the Rock Slide. I could definitely tank this and then come out with a Brave Bird. As you can see, it is Lantern, so maybe coming out with that move would have been better, but I get the Shadow Claw advantage, and that's going to be absolutely vital. The Trevenant was completely dry, so boom, we take that out, and as you've seen before, if we land a Shadow Ball on this thing, it basically puts it into Sky Attack range. So I just need to hope that the opponent does not get a huge overfarm here. The opponent really can't afford to go for a huge overfarm, because the Shadow Ball will do a lot, and we're going to be getting very close to the Ancient Power. I keep calling it Ancient Power, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean here. Surf coming in, that's going to take out the Gira, and we just need to hope we can outpace this. It's going to be very close. Yeah, we did get to the move in time, so good games there. Very close matchup. I think it would have been a little bit better had I just tanked the move and just farmed down. I could have maybe just came out with that move and it would have been a little bit less awkward. Bastiodon, we're going to come into Sableye, and the opponent comes into a Victory Bell. Now, because they swapped out a little bit late, they let me get through a couple of Shadow Claws. I should be able to outpace to double foul play, getting both shields off the opponent. Oh, actually, they just make it to the move there. That's perfectly fine. We'll shield up once, get off the foul play, and basically look to grab both shields. Now, when you're playing against these toxic teams, and whenever they have one lead, you need to wait your timers down. That's a huge key to winning these matchups. We're going to wait the timer down to the very last second, come into Skarmory. The opponent will not quite get off the move, and as you can see here, my switch clock is now up. So it means the Bastiodon cannot really, get a bunch of farm or anything. I decide to bank a Brave Bird and come into the Giratina. So we're up a shield with Giratina. Now the one thing is, if this is Wigglytuff, it's game over, game, set, and match. However, it is not, because they're not coming straight into it. The opponent comes into an Annihilate. This is going to absolutely one-shot, so I leave a couple of bubbles off. I could have maybe undercharged a little bit more there. What I decide this time is I'll probably only get off one move, so I should go for the big hard-hitting Shadow Ball. I need to get damage on this thing. Boom, that does a lot. Can we get to a second one? We don't, unfortunately. If we can live this in 1 HP and get off the Shadow Sneak, that would be kind of nice. Unfortunately, bro, ominous wind, guys. Ominous wind. Ominous wind. Anyway, guys, the opponent was pretty dry. We had a lot of energy on the Skarmory. Brave Bird number 1 coming in. They're in Sky Attack range, and that's good games. So yeah, sometimes you get those very RPS bad teams, but what you need to do is just play it disciplined, right? Wait out your switch timers, get the energy advantage on your lead Pokemon, try to get a shield advantage for your back Pokemon and hope it can sweep. That's the only way you can try to win those. I always like trying to get 2 shields down whenever you have a Pokemon like Giratina or something that does a lot of damage. The opponent just completely sacks their Skelly Dirge, by the way. I'm expecting this to be Mudboy double fire. We'll see what the opponent wants to do here. They let that move through. I'm guessing they're just saving 2 shields for Talonflame or Charizard in the back. That's pretty much my prediction at this point. But yeah, guys, losing lead does not mean losing game. If you get a hard counter lead, hard counter swap, you don't necessarily lose them all. You might lose, if it's a completely hard counter team, right? You might lose 4 out of 5, but that 1 out of 5 that you would have just otherwise top lefted could be the difference between a positive set and a negative set. So we have Talonflame right here. The opponent's going to go for probably a Flame Charge, so I decided to let the first move go. That's pretty vital in this matchup. If they go Fly, I just lose. But if they go Flame Charge and they shield it, I just lose. So I decided the opponent's win con is to go for this, try to ramp up their damage, and try to basically Flame Charge through my 2 remaining Pokemon. We're going to go straight Ominous Wind in this matchup, and that will allow us to outpace. I played this matchup once before, and I went Shadow Ball in the first time. That was basically the key to losing that match for me. As you can see, that Ominous Wind gets them basically into farm down range, and that's good games. Charizard lead, very, very awkward for me here. Sableye comes in, and yeah, this is kind of tricky. I decided to call the first move. Actually, they actually didn't even build up to the move, so it's not even a call. I know I can live it. If you can live it in these situations and you can get the shield advantage, sometimes it's perfectly fine. If it's a Pokemon where it's completely walling your Skarmory, let's say it's a Registeel, you might want to shield that move, right? But I know I can potentially Steel Wing this Pokemon down because it's so glassy, and I know that Sky Attacks and Brave Birds are neutral, so this is not like the worst situation ever. I come in to get the form of Skarmory, because I'm thinking, okay, they've got a Fire type in the front, they might have like Grass types in the back, or they might have stuff that's weak to this. They come into the Registeel. The good thing about Giratina is we do wall this moveset. Unfortunately, the opponent just about outpaces 2 of these Zap Cannon, and unfortunately they do get the debuff. Now the opponent's not swapping out here, so they don't have the most amazing answer to Giratina. Even though I did get debuffed, you're going to see here that 2 of these Shadow Balls basically KOs this thing. The opponent's just getting to the next Zap Cannon, and as you can see from my health range, I will just about survive it, but it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. Definitely getting the first Shadow Ball off before the debuff really helps this matchup. I'm trying my best to swap out. The opponent does get an energy lead, however, we're already ahead in energy. We banged up a bunch of energy with Skarmory earlier. Of course, we farmed down the Charizard. We can farm down the Reggie, and that's going to be good games. So that's why, you don't just dump the energy, right? I could have very easily just dumped the energy in Reggie for absolutely no reason, but I decided not to do that, and that energy came in very, very handy. Alright guys, so as you can see, these are some battles from a few days ago. We're using Heatran in the lead. I was really looking to RPS Wigglytuff leads, but we do end up getting a Deoxys and a Mandibuzz. So kind of annoying here. One good thing is we have Moonblast on the Cresselia, so what I'm hopefully trying to do here is get shields. Deoxys is very good into Heatran, and by the way, my Heatran does not have Magma Storm. I run out of TMs for it, unfortunately, so I'm running it with Flamethrower. If you guys don't have the elite charge TMs, I would recommend this moveset. You can go for Stone Edge, but I just think the coverage with Earth Power is so good. Just being able to do a ton of damage to Bastiodons, so worth it. If you're trying to beat that, toxic team in particular, a lot of Bastiodons will just let the move go. Or, if not, you get a shield advantage. But Heatran, really, really funny. It beats the Victory Bell, beats Wigglytuff, and with Earth Power, it can beat Bastiodon as well, so I think it's pretty cool. Now, as you can see here, the opponent is kind of a little bit core broken by the Giratina, which is kind of nice. We needed something to go right in this matchup. They come into Lantern here. We're going to basically fire off the Shadow Ball here. It's not like they're exactly going to catch it on the other thing, right? And I think I decided to shield this move. The opponent, I believe, are 4 off the Psycho Boost with the Deoxys, and yeah, this is basically curtains for them. We're going to look to go for this big move. This should look to one-shot DD. Boom, Shadow Ball coming in, and I think I go for a cheeky catch. No, okay, actually they do get to the move, but we'll be able to farm it down with Heatran. That's good games well played. As you can see, we lost the lead, we lost the swap, but we got a shield advantage, and our Giratina swept. So, you know, sometimes it is just complete RPS where you cannot win, but it's not always like that, and we're going to hop into the next battle. Victory bell lead! Come on, what are you going to bring in? What are you going to bring in? What are you going to bring in? Okay, Dugong. Okay, well, that's not Basti. I decided to stay in and get off the move here. My Cresselia can somewhat deal with this, and I do end up shielding an Icy Wind, which is pretty unfortunate. Now, this could be a Stone Edge, the opponent all but is guaranteed to shield this pretty much. This is where having Magma Storm would be kind of nice. It'll be a little bit cheaper. It takes 4 fire spins, as opposed to, I think, 6 for the Flamethrower. The Flamethrower does more raw damage, and I learned after the fact that in neutral situations you should go for Flamethrower. It does more raw damage with Stab. So the opponent goes for a swap into Bastiodon here. This is unfortunate, guys. What I end up trying to do in this match is trying to bank a bunch of energy, but it's kind of difficult. As you can see here, I don't want to throw my energy, and I think I throw on good timing, but I'm over 100 energy. I'm just really trying to get out of here. I want to keep this for the Dugong, and back in comes the Giratina. Now, what I need to do is get some extra energy and threaten the Dugong here with a Shadow Ball. That's pretty much what I need to do. Unfortunately, the opponent's basically forcing a shield out of me, but I decide, okay, we can live this. We live it on 1 HP. The opponent comes back in with the Victory Bell. The Shadow Ball will absolutely rip it to shreds. It does like 95% of the Victory Bell. We come in with the Heatran, the Tranmeister. We're going to farm it the whole way down. Now, what I need to hope for is to get basically a massive farm down on the Dugong. I was debating just letting this go. The opponent goes for a fucking Icy Wind again because they're degenerates. People are always horny for the debuff. She'll let that move go. Back in comes Basti. The opponent knows that we basically have some energy in Cresselia, so let this move go. It does a ton of damage, and we decide to throw in Cresselia to go for the Psycho Cut down. Good games, get and hopping into the next one here. The opponent swaps into a Lickitung. I don't have an obvious answer for Lickitung, and one thing you're going to see about Great League Heatran is it's just made of absolute paper. It's like a wet tissue, bro. You just poke your finger through it and it's dead. A Body Slam hit like a cross chop, and we're going to come into the Cresselia here. Now that we've got this sort of lower, we can look to sort of deal with this, and Cresselia up energy should be doing perfectly fine here. I decided to go for the Mini B, and I decided to keep Moonblast on this team because I thought it would be a little bit more relevant to help against the Pokemon that counter Giratina, and of course Heatran. Yeah, like things like Dark types are a little bit tricky for Giratina, so I did want that extra coverage. Now, back in comes Bastiodon. We're going to Grass Knot the life out of this thing. It takes a lot of Grass Knots to KO this Basti. These are neutral, and I think this opponent's Bastiodon, correct me if I'm wrong, even though best bodied, is not necessarily like a fully XL one. I do feel like the Grass Knots at times do a lot less damage than that. Yeah, so they're going to farm us the whole way down. I think I do come into the Heatran here, basically looking to force the opponent's energy. Do I shield here? Oh, I do decide to shield the Stone Edge, and we're going to basically look to get this lower. I decided to go for Earth Power here, of course. You do have a chance of getting the debuff, and it is the same energy cost. Now that we've got a shield down, I feel like Giratina is more in a position to sweep. I guess that was what I was thinking at the time. Sorry, these battles were a couple of days ago. The opponent comes back into the Cresselia. I think we should be in a good spot. I think what the opponent does here is go straight for Grass Knot, because they just want to chip me, right? They're just trying to chip. And it's like, okay, this is just a resisted Grass Knot, so let me let this go. But if I let that go, they might be able to smack me down. So yeah, I decided to basically respect that. If you think of the health I would be on, I'd be a lot closer to Smackdown range. So I decided to throw in this bad boy. The opponent realizes it's curtains, and we're going to hop into the next one. We have a Poliwrath lead, very horrible lead. We come into Cresselia, and in comes Gligar. I think in this matchup, I think 3 Grass Knots is the most efficient way to do this, or 2 Moonblasts if it goes into like a later shielding scenario. In general, I think in the zeros you go for triple Grass Knot. Dig coming in, that was a very good shield. I decided to shield with the first move because you'd kind of have to be insane to beat a Cresselia. I let the second move go, and I am going to fight for alignment here. If we land this Moonblast, that'll put them into Psycho Cut down range, and I think actually just from this range it'll more or less KO. So even if we can get both shields, you know, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We could potentially farm it down with Gira. The opponent goes for a very nice overfarm, and we're going to look to, yeah, of course, let this earliest go. We even get off a last second Grass Knot, but the opponent decides, okay, I can't let this go. I have to throw the second earliest. So at this point we come into Giratina, and I think I'm looking to... Do I respect this move? Okay, let it go. I think it does end up being a dig though. I did think it was only an earliest, to be honest with you. The opponent goes for an Aggro Swap into Gliscor. We're going to look to go for a big Shadow Ball. If this doesn't KO, this is going to come very, very close. We throw in the Heatran to try and catch the earliest. The opponent only makes it to 7 wing attacks here, so we can let this move through. Aurelius resisted, still done a ton of damage. They come back into the Shadow Poliwrath. However, we're not running the resisted moveset. We're on the Earth Power. How much will this do to Shadow Poly? Does about 70% to it. Gets it super low. Now at this point, I'm basically forced to shield up anything they want to throw. We're going to look to fire off this move immediately. Just get rid of the Poliwrath, and we should be able to farm down basically everything else. So yeah, good games well played to the opponent there. Back in comes Gligar. It's on its last legs, and that's good games. So yeah, guys, you know, if you can get yourself a Giratina, I do recommend getting one. It is a very, very fun Pokemon. I will say to you guys, like, it's not the most super meta Pokemon if you don't manage to get one. It's not like you can't compete. It's not like it's, you know, like a pay-to-win Pokemon necessarily, but I enjoyed it. It's a very, very fun Pokemon, and if you can get yourselves one, I do recommend it. With the Bastiodon lead, I recognize it's probably Victreebel and Wiggly. My Heatran beats pretty much the entire backline. The opponent lets the move through, and I catch the move. I catch the move on the Giratina. Is it... Oh, they go for Stone Edge. I guess that's more efficient. They come into the Wiggly. Unfortunately, they just completely wall us here. So I think, you know, you should really not be safe swapping Giratina. That's one thing you never do with this Pokemon, because if it gets met with a Wiggly or a Licky, you're just screwed, basically. We come into the Heatran Meister here. We're going to shield up this move. Even though resisted, it's going to hurt a lot, and we're going to look to try and deal with this here. We're going to get extra farm if possible, and like to go for Flamethrower. These moves are clapping me, so it's kind of tough. The opponent shields, and I decide to throw in the Cresselia, recognizing that it is Victreebel in the back. Unfortunately, I do go for a CMP tie here, and the opponent will get off an Icy Wind. I think I fully charge this move because they can swap out at this point, and I want to try to more or less get rid of this Pokemon. We get rid of it, and the opponent comes into a Victreebel. Now what we need to do here is get shields down. The opponent goes for a very nice catch on Bastiodon, and what we end up doing is just going for like a couple of bubbles here, and we're going to try our absolute hardest to Psycho Cut this thing the whole way down. The opponent just further energy, and we do get a Psycho Cut down. Moonblast coming in. This is resisted, but this will basically put them into Fire Spin range. Boom. That's going to get them very, very low. We're going to come into Heatran. Can we make it? We just about do, and good games well played. If you enjoyed today's video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Last time I said to you guys, yo, like 65% of you guys are not subscribed, and an absolute ton of you guys subscribed, so thank you very much. If you're making it to this point in the video, like 26 minutes in, big thank you, much appreciated. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and thank you very much for the support on the channel. Big shout out to our channel members on screen here. Very much appreciate your support, and it helps me do what I'm doing here, so big thank you. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody, and I'll catch you tomorrow for the new season.